In this video, we are going to learn about digital mind maps, what they are, how they can be created, examples, tools that can be used to create them, and eventually you're going to implement the learning and create your own mind map for the structure of your unit. So, first of all, in order to understand what mind maps are, I wanted to take a look at the next two slides and see the differences. Here we are going to learn what mind maps are, so see which one you prefer out of these two. Take a minute to read this text, and then I'll pass on to the next slide and you'll see how this same information is presented differently. Okay, so this is exactly the same information presented in a different way. Take a look. See what you can notice here. Can you notice the hierarchical order? Here, mind maps, what to do, different uh, things that can be done with it. And then we get more specific about it. Uses of colors to show hierarchy too, or different topics. Which one do you prefer? Why? Ask yourself this question and see whether you can find an answer. Do we all need to choose, do we all prefer the same alternative, or can we have different preferences? Okay, now let's take a look at the digital tools used to create mind maps. In order to understand this further on, one of them is Poplet. As you can see, it's very user-friendly. Okay, and here's an example of a mind map created by students I taught a few years ago, and we used it for vocabulary learning. Okay, you can see the name of the book, Take a Stand. Before starting with the first unit, I focused on what the main idea of this book is all about. Okay, and then they each found information on this, and I elicited it from them and inserted it here in this mind map, which was visible to them as they interacted on Zoom. This was a lesson taught remotely. Here we have the use of Poplet again. This can be sent to students for homework, or if they have laptops in the school, they can use it in different, they can have one for each group, and then they can find information for one idea, one main idea that is going to be discussed. Maybe this could be used as scaffolding for writing, for a later activity. So a group of students get a link to a Poplet board with a word. This is the word they got. Appearances, you can see their names, Ram, Shahar, Sahar. Okay, and they each had associations with this word, things that come to their mind, like behavior, masks. Neta wrote this is what she connected appearances with. Or they can find information, search skills, okay? They can find information on the internet, which can be added to this. So we gather as much information as we can on one main idea that they will write about, that they will create a podcast on, etc. Here's Kaku, an example of what can be done with Kaku. Kaku can be used for real-time collaboration in a learning community. You can have different, like with Google Slides, you can have different slides in one same presentation of mind maps. You have all the mind mapping tools there. I will just go to my dashboard so that you will see what Kaku is like. This is actually what was done by a group in the course Teaching English in a Technologically Enhanced Environment. As you can see, this is the structure of the unit that one group created. Okay, they brainstormed it, they introduced changes as they received feedback, and eventually they created their unit, they created activities. And here there's another slide. As you can see on the right hand side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slides, one for each group. Each group did the mind mapping in a different way. Okay, and this way they made it their own. And they each created a different unit and were influenced by what they saw others did. They also could engage in giving feedback here through the comments. Okay, comment feature. This could be done here too. So now let's go back to the presentation. For more examples, Padlet. If you pick the Canvas template, as you know, Padlet has like 8 different templates. So if you pick the Canvas template, then you have all the features for mind mapping. You can create connections between the different sticky notes that are added. This is a template that I created for groups of students. So 2 groups of students work on one same Padlet board in a given template, and they fill in one side for reading comprehension. So what they did here, for example, is to analyze a text from Take a Stand, from the book Take a Stand, which dealt with parents' accountability for their criminal behavior. So the text contained arguments for and arguments against. So I had one group spot out the arguments for, and another one spot out the arguments against, holding parents accountable for children's crime. Here's another one, another example of a mind map that can be created with Padlet. This could be used for grammar, as you can see, for modals, probability, suggestions, making polite requests, and then you continue the modal just with another color at a different level of a hierarchy, and add the modal and examples. And this is a wonderful way to summarize what they have learned. They can do it. You can do it together with them as you elicit this from them. Or this can be done for alternative assessment as each student creates his or her own mind map. So to sum up, a mind map or concept map, we're not going to get into the details, but there is a difference between one and the other. But let's talk about them as if they were the same thing, because after all, both of them are graphs, graphical ways to represent either ideas or concepts. They are visual thinking tools which offer an overview of a topic and complex information. And they're often created around a single word of concept, as you've seen. First of all, we had the word appearance, okay? And then we could create a mind map around it with different ideas, different associations that came to our mind, okay? Drawn, or the structure of the unit could be created about the central topic. And it's drawn as an image in the center of the page, to which associated representations of ideas such as images, words, and parts of words are added. Its power lies in its simplicity. This is very important. Visual simplicity, which actually helps us cope with cognitive overload and digest and understand ideas in a way that is more uh, practical. This doesn't mean that we need to do away with text, but according to the multimodal theory, as you know already, cognitive multimodal theory, when text and images together make the learning more effective. So we do need to combine text together with image at times and not rely only on text all the time. So how to create a mind map? Well, you write a word, create an image that represents the first main idea or concept. The rest of the map will revolve around. Then you create branches, as you've seen, and eventually you create sub-branches that stem from the main branches to further expand on ideas and concepts. You can add images, you can add links, uh, whatever you want, depending on which platform you are using. And this helps develop, the sub-branches help develop and elaborate on the overall theme of the mind map. How can you make it better? By using different colors to differentiate the branches or the subtopics. By including images and diagrams, as I said before. Here's an example, and let's take a minute to look at this and understand how to create a mind map in a different way. You listened to me explain this just a minute ago. Now I want you to take a look and try to understand it this way. This is also good for differentiated learning for those who may find it easier to understand things in a visual way. So take a look, please. Okay. Final task. How do you implement all this? Okay. Now you can implement it in different ways. You can go and create a Applet on your own, experiment with the tool, but that's not a compulsory task, it's an optional task. I do recommend you to do it if you think that this will be useful or you are interested in exploring this tool and exploring its possibilities. Anyway, what you all need to do is to mind map the structure of learning units.